works as a teacher in America. And he is here to tell us that we can make a difference in our children's lives by teaching them appreciation, teaching them happiness. Mike, first of all, thanks for joining us.
Oh, well, thank you, Shaun. It's a great pleasure to come in.
I should ask you about your background, first of all, because is it your great-grandparents are from Donegal?
Well, all four of my grandparents are from Ireland. 3 are from Donegal, and 1 from Cork.
Three
grandparents from Donegal.
As in 3 sets of going back and...
3 individuals. So my father's mother and father are from Donegal.
Right.
And my mother's mom.
I see.
Yes.
So you've got the Donegal blood in you.
That's right, absolutely.
Well and truly. Have you been here before?
This is actually my 5th time to Donegal. I first came when I was 8, and most recently in 2001, my wife and I were here for our honeymoon, and we've returned for our 15th anniversary. So it's wonderful to come back.
Excellent. And where do you stay in Donegal then?
In Stranacorcra.
Okay.
We still have a home in the family, a home where my grandmother grew up. So we've had beautiful sights of Gola Island and the shoreline and the surrounding mountains. Now our 2-week adventure is coming to a close. We're flying home tomorrow, but we've had a wonderful getaway.
Good. And you live
in Virginia, in Richmond, Virginia. So it's about 2 hours south of Washington, D.C.
Okay. What's it like?
Very hot. That's one of the best attractions of coming to Ireland in the summer, because the day we left Central Virginia, it was right around 100 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
And when you get to the middle of July all the way through the end of August, it's brutal.
You get sick of it.
So to get over here and actually shiver
and breathe
is a relief.
Because thank God for aircon. That's all you could say, really.
Absolutely, yes. It would be a completely different life without air conditioning.
Yeah. We were talking to a lady earlier on who's had skin cancer, and we're very conscious here of the fact that we don't take to the sun too well, and with all of your Irish genes in you, I suppose you have to be careful out there as well. Is it something Americans are very conscious of?
It is. I'd say we're becoming more aware of it now, but certainly, especially where I live in the American South, we have constant exposure to the sun. So you've got to be careful. And when my wife and I have 4 kids, 3 boys and a girl, and during the summer months, we're very careful to go out in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
We might go to the swimming pool, or if we're at the beach, we'll be out in the morning, and then we'll come out again after 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock, and we usually just stay indoors during the hottest part of the day, because it's really difficult.
You get really wrecked in it too, don't you? Feel like you need to lie down.
Oh, absolutely, yes. You get constant inflow of water, without a doubt.
Yeah. Okay, well, Mike, you're the author of a book called Teaching and Happiness. Now, I know you are a teacher, so you're used to children around you, and you believe that children need to be taught gratitude. There'll be a lot of parents very happy to hear this today, because they're handing their children, iPhones and tablets and you name it, and they'll say, they never say thanks, or they don't seem to appreciate it. Children today. I know that sounds like a generalization, but it is. This is what parents will tell you. No matter what I do for them, they're never happy. You believe that starts very young. So have we lost the art of doing it? Is it something that was naturally inherent in us that we don't do anymore?
Well, it's interesting that you bring that up, and actually, back in the States, this is a widely held assertion by parents as well, that kids are wired to whine, so to speak. You give them everything under the sun, and it doesn't make them happy. But actually, interestingly, psychology has thrown in on this issue to say that there's something known as the abundance paradox, and that is that the more we have above and beyond what we need, then the less we appreciate anything.
Less happy we are.
Exactly. And, that's the case for our kids and for ourselves as adults as well. So, ironically, our abundance, especially in this day and age when we are so fortunate to have an abundance of material possessions, but also communication and the ease of travel and everything else that goes with modern life, it's actually all of these extra things that we've accumulated along the way that may be preventing a more simplistic type of life that would make us happier.
So are we designed to be poorer?
Are we designed to be poor? Well, sure. I mean, that's how we evolved over time to be to make the most of our situation. And now that things are so much cheaper, we've got inexpensive labor markets in China and India and elsewhere around the world. For just a few dollars back home in the States, you can go to a dollar store and you can buy any number of toys and knickknacks and whatnot. And that would not have been possible 100, 200 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, my lovely nephew, Leo, I absolutely adore him. But he's got like hundreds of dinosaurs. And every time I go over, I buy him dinosaurs. I just love buying him these because he loves them. But he can't love them all, can he? And every time you go down the shop, you point at these dinosaurs. Is that a bad thing I'm doing?
Well, it's interesting that you bring that up because I think that he would appreciate it more if he had only one dinosaur.
Yeah. But he hasn't one. He's loads.
I know. Well, and it's so much easier these days to spoil our kids.
Because we love it, don't we? We love giving them. We love seeing them happy. We love, they look at you and they want that dinosaur. You just want to get it for them.
Right, absolutely. That's a natural thing for aunts and uncles, for parents, for grandparents, for friends to do that. But really, if we want our kids to have long-term happiness, long-term emotional well-being, then it's in their best interest and in our own to promote a sense of gratitude and to teach that your happiness will not come from your possessions, but it will come from other things.
Okay, it sounds pretty religious almost. It sounds like a kind of a Christian doctrine or another doctrine of religion that you're promoting here. Is it?
Well, I'd say it's not overtly. I am a Catholic. I was raised Irish-American Catholic, I suppose. And actually, the more that I've learned about the science of happiness since being exposed to it at an education conference a few years ago, the more I've realized the connections between traditional values that may have come to us through the church and their connections with emotional well-being.
It does make a lot of sense what you're saying, to be honest. It really does. I suppose sometimes it's out of the parents' hands, not out of their hands, but they might feel it is, because maybe a grandparent wants to spoil the kid, as it were, and do things for them. So how do you do it whenever you have other people who are influencing your children as well?
Right, and I think that could be a very difficult balance to strike, and it's probably not. I probably haven't done the best job striking that balance in my own life. But I think just to communicate to your own children and to your loved ones that we really want to put the emphasis on people and experiences and teaching characteristics that will lead to a long-term life of happiness and lower anxiety and stress. And I think if you get everyone on board early on, then it's much easier to communicate that message.
Okay, it sounds all well and good listening to it, but putting it into practice is quite a different thing. And you work in a school, and you'll know the power of peer pressure. So those very children that you're talking about are going home at night, and they're saying, "Mom, Dad, I want a pair of Nike runners, but I can't afford them." You might say, well, then they'll go in a huff because their friend has it, right? So nobody wants their children to be different in that sense and to feel like they're going without. And I think that's a huge pressure for parents.
I think you're absolutely right, and Actually, for me personally, it's a pressure that I feel because the school where I teach in Richmond, Virginia, is a collegiate school. It's an independent school, and my children attend the school, and many of their peers are in a much different place financially than they are. So this is something that my wife and I are dealing with. But again, it comes down to what are your core values, and what are the things that you're communicating to your children are the most important. And maybe you have a discussion with your kids about the price of the shoes and what you might have to give up in order to earn the shoes. So actually, it can become a lesson in economics and supply and demand and that sort of thing.
I don't know if kids want to hear about that, though, do they? Supply economics. But let's talk to do we have to start this early? Or can we begin it when they're 11 or 12 and we've maybe made a lot of mistakes?
Sure. First of all, it's never too late. It's important to communicate. So if you're a parent with very young children or teenagers or even adult children, all of us at any point in time have the potential to get on the right track. But the earlier you start, the stronger the connections will be. And I'm reminded of something that Aristotle said. And he said, we are what we repeatedly do. We are what we repeatedly do. And that actually is related to the makeup of our brains, because the way we form habits is through time and repetition. And we can train our brains to become happier, to become more grateful.
How?
Time and repetition. It's if you want to become a better Gaelic footballer, what do? You get out there and you practice. You work on your punching, kicking, passing, the whole bit. And the same thing goes for gratitude. If you want to become a more grateful, happier person, you just have to get into a regular habit of practicing gratitude. It may not be the easiest thing to do at first, but again, with time and repetition, This is something that will stick.
So simple things like teaching your children from a very early age to say thank you after dinner, thank you when you do something for them, or somebody else does something for them. Those little courtesies that are not there now, or don't seem to be there as much as they used to be.
Sure, without a doubt. That's a simple and very effective way to begin. Just the act of saying thank you, and trying to do that on a regular basis. One recommendation I would have, something that we've tried in our own house, is to make a gratitude wall, perhaps in your kitchen or in your dining room, wherever you spend a lot of time as a family. And it's very simple. You just get a stack of Post-it notes or sticky notes. I'm not sure what you call them here, but sticky notes is fine. And as often as you can, maybe once or twice a day, just write down something you're grateful for on a sticky note, or you can even draw a picture. And then you put it up on the wall in your kitchen, and as you pass the wall, you're reminded visually of the good things in your life. Because typically what tends to happen to us is we forget the good times. We forget the blessings. And especially in this modern time when we're constantly bombarded by evil stories in the news, we lose sight of all that we truly have to be grateful for. But as a family, if you can put these things that are blessings in your lives up on the wall, you pass them, you see them every day, then that will stick.
Your book, Teaching and Happiness, there's some great reports on it, reviews of it. It's gone down very well.
It has. Actually, if I may correct you, the title is Teaching Happiness and Innovation.
Yeah.
And I wrote it as a father with 4 kids, concerned about the future and trying to figure out how my kids will fit in as they go through their own lives, and also as a teacher, wearing both hats at the same time. And certainly in my country, as is the case here in Ireland, there's a lot of anxiety about the economy, about future employment, and
terrorism.
Terrorism, of course, that's been more of a threat since 2001 in the U.S. I guess it's a more recent thing over here. But really, looking forward, we want to teach our kids habits that will make them happier, more creative, more successful, because they have to create a future that's going to look much different from the present.
So do you turn the news off in your house?
Actually, often we do. If there has been a terrorist attack, of course, the American media are all over, as I'm sure that BBC and other networks over here, the 24-hour news cycle.
It's very luring, though.
It is. It sucks you in.
It comes up on the phone. There's the phone there now.
Right.
I'll get the news alerts. Sky News, incident in Germany, incident in London, incident in Spain. Straight away I'm on it. I know it's the work I do, but I don't think I'm alone. I think you don't have to be a journalist or working in the media to do this. You go straight on, you look at it, then you look, that's not enough. Straight to Sky, straight to BBC, straight to RTE or whatever, and we look, and it's usually the skies of this world. We go there and we look and we see it's rolling then and it's up, and then it's addictive, and then you're stuck with it. Right, it gets worse and worse. That's what we seem to be drawn to now.
You're absolutely right, and it's crippling because it prevents us from doing the things we ought to be doing with our time, and also prevents us from thinking in ways that we would be more adaptive and healthier for us as individuals.
So you make a choice then, do you? This is Mike Ferry, by the way. He's author of Teaching Happiness and Innovation. You make a choice then not to watch. You'll look at it, you see it's happened, but you won't get stuck to it. You won't continue to watch it because you think it's bad for you.
I would say that's true. I would certainly say that's true around the kids. So if we're aware of a knife attack in London, or the incident with the priest in France, we will not turn the radio on, turn the TV on if the kids are around. So we try to have a bit of a screening process so that it doesn't get to them as much as it would get to us in the adult population. Because it's very difficult in this day and age because we're subjected to these constant reports, and we don't want our kids to grow up with the feeling that the world really is a dark and gloomy place.
Yeah, because we weren't exposed to that as children, and you do worry, don't you, about the children of today and what they're exposed to, because they must be. Either they become desensitized or they become very scared, or both.
Right. No, you're right on. And it's a very difficult time. It's probably the most difficult time to be a parent in the history of the world, I would say.
That's a strong statement, but I mean, I'm sure it's very hard to disagree with that.
Yes.
Okay, there was world wars, but the children weren't all aware of it, were they? Not to the same extent.
No, and you didn't have a smartphone. You didn't have satellite or cable TV.
They certainly weren't watching it unless they were in the middle of it.
Right, absolutely.
Whereas now they're actually filming live on Facebook the murder as they're doing it, and people are, it's never in a time we've ever lived in has this happened.
No, you're exactly right. It's in real time. The horror is all around us, but it's always been a horrendous planet. There's always been bloodshed. There's always been tragedy.
Yeah, so that's the point was made about the world wars.
Yes, exactly. But as you said, we didn't always know about it. And on one hand, we don't want to become the ostrich. We don't want to stick our head in the sand and be completely unaware of the world around us. But we also want to keep it in its proper context and communicate to our kids when tragedies do happen, and they certainly will, that this sort of thing is rare. It doesn't appear rare when it's on the news and you can see it constantly, but it is. Secondly, there are people working around the clock at the local and at the national and international levels to keep you safe. And thirdly, to avoid a sense of hopelessness that can set in for kids and for adults. One of the best things to do is to practice kindness.
Well, that's my next point. You're a believer, I would say, in random acts of kindness. And I spoke to somebody recently on the program who witnessed a random act of kindness, or was the benefactor of one, and I couldn't believe the response to it. People were so, I loved that piece yesterday, I love that piece yesterday, because they were talking about something as simple as somebody doing something very good for a person, you think it's a kind of it's addictive almost. People should start doing it.
Sure, it absolutely can be. And gratitude is a path to happiness. Kindness is another path to happiness. And the more time we spend demonstrating kindness and compassion for others, then the more dopamine we get in our brains. Dopamine is a brain chemical. Psychologists refer to it as the happiness neurotransmitter. And simply by showing kindness to another person, or even reflecting on kindness, thinking back to a time when you were either kind for someone or when someone demonstrated kindness towards you, you can change your brain chemistry.
Yeah. So do you avoid negative people? And I'm asking you this in two ways. If you avoid negative people, then some would say you're not being merciful because you need to be around people who are negative and have problems and want to talk about their problems. Some people would say to me, stay away from those kind of people. You need to be around positive people. But that's not good either, is it? That's not showing generosity. So where do you stand on that?
Right. No, that's an excellent point, because I would say, in general, you want to surround yourself with a positive climate to whatever degree that's possible. And if you do have negative people in your life, and certainly we all will, and I'm a negative person at times. You can't be bright and cheery 100% of the time. But you do want to minimize that influence as much as you can. And just to show that generosity and that kindness, because that can break through. As you mentioned, your kindness show had such a huge reaction from your audience. That the sour personality who all of a sudden has someone demonstrating kindness, that's going to have an impact.
Yeah. Okay, let's look at what's coming in from our listeners. I'm always astonished by the lack of manners in children today, but even more astonished at the attitude of parents who watch but never chastise. In this new age race to be a modern-day parent, the art of good manners is being lost, the caller says. Another caller, very impressed by Mike's view. We need more of that teaching in our lives. This is Mike Ferry, by the way, who is the author of Teaching Happiness and Innovation. If you want to get his book, we'll tell you how to get it. Going forward in America, what's your opinion on Trump? This man who wants to build a wall, surely that would be against exactly what you were saying. Now, do you get involved in politics like that? I mean, he's a man to me, I don't know, well, I guess can't take to him at all, but go on.
Well, I think the rise of Donald Trump in the United States and the rise of Bernie Sanders, I'm not sure how much attention Bernie Sanders got over here in Europe, but Trump would be an extreme force on the right, and Sanders would be a more extreme force on the left.
Yeah.
But both candidates, both candidates had unbelievable amounts of support. And to me, that's an indication that there are many people, not only in the United States, but really throughout the world, for a variety of reasons, who are demanding change.
Oh, scared.
And fear of terrorism, fear of the economy. Of course, historically in Ireland, if you can't find a job, you go to the U.S., right? Well, what happens if there are no jobs in the U.S.? Where do the Americans go? And that's what's been happening over the last 15, 20, 30 years. And the prognosis for that is bleak. And that was one of the reasons why I wanted to write this book, in fact, because the twin pressures of jobs going away and also jobs being automated or being taken over by robots will create a very difficult situation. And there was a prediction from Oxford University that within the next 20 years, 47% of existing jobs may be automated. So that's half of jobs right now that will be gone. And certainly many people in America are feeling that. Manufacturing jobs.
Well, it's happening. You go to supermarkets, checkouts, you go to check-in at airports. I mean, a lot of people welcome it because they think it's going to save you queuing. But these are all signs of what's to come. There will be less people needed to do the work that's being done by people at the moment. So we need to think about that. And what do we do about it?
Yes, for sure. And two things come to mind. First of all, we need to create a more entrepreneurial spirit, especially in our kids, so that our kids can create more employment opportunities down the road. But it also requires a lot of creativity in imagining what our society will look like. Because we may be entering a period within the next few decades where it's very difficult to find jobs that are actually performed by human beings.
Yes.
So if you have a minority of people having actual occupations and the majority without jobs but would love to have them, there are changes that will have to take place.
Okay, this is what is wrong today. Children never hear no. To deal with life in a realistic fashion, people must be open to negativity, as in if someone reads your book and didn't like it, surely that's their opinion, it's not negativity. 6 million may read it and love it. If we all think one way, how will that work? How do you deal with criticism?
Oh, I love that comment. And actually, it gets to an editorial, I guess, that was in the Irish Times this morning in the business section on failure,
Right.
on the importance of failure.
Well, let's just hold that thought while we take a break.
Absolutely.
I wonder what fresh offers Lidl have in store now.
Tomatoes, iceberg lettuce and kiwis, just 49 cents each.
Good man.
And fresh Irish mackerel fillets, sweet and sour pork stir fry and beef stir fry, just €2 each.
You're kidding.
Only until Wednesday. Lidl, more for you.
Great fuel prices are just one stop away at Kelly's Centra Forecourt in Letterkenny. Prices at the pumps are slashed, so pull in for your next top-up and save at Kelly's Centra Forecourt, Mountain Top, Letterkenny. Your local convenience shop, restaurant and forecourt.
Worried or anxious about visiting the dentist? Dr. Joseph Bowman and Associates at Ready Steady Smiles provide dental treatment in a professional manner and relaxed surroundings. To book a consultation today, call 1890-265-365 or visit ReadySteadySmiles.com. Ballybuffet and Donegal Town.
Does your office have everything it needs to run smoothly? Is there a pen when you want one? Paper in the photocopier? Enough folders for your files? Donegal Stationery Company supply all of these and much more. For your office, school or college, all the essentials are in store or just a phone call away on 9121701. And we deliver. Donegal Stationery Company, Lower Main Street, Letterkenny. For all your office, art and school supplies at one stop.
A public interest message from Donegal County Council. The Lochfoyle Ferry service linking Greencastle and McGilligan and the Swilly Ferry service linking Buncrana and Rathmullen are now fully operational. The Foyle Ferry service runs from 7 a.m. to 9:45 p.m. Monday to Saturday and from 9 a.m. on Sundays with continuous sailing between Greencastle and McGilligan. For more, visit lochfoyleferry.com. The Swilly Ferry service runs from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday to Sunday with 8 return sailings each day between Buncrana and Rathmullen. For more, visit swillyferry.com. Donegal County Council, serving the people of Donegal.
Highland Radio Time Checks with Century Cinemas, Letterkenny. More info at centurycinemas.ie, bringing stories to life on the big screen.
There's up to 70% off in the summer sale at Claire Clothing, Letterkenny. Up to 70% off dresses, jeans and tops in Claire Clothing at their new location in the Fort Retail Park, Letterkenny, just opposite the new Duns.
Have you been to Letterkenny recently? It really is a shopping mecca with a huge choice of stores and cafes to wander through, amazing prices and friendly faces. You'll find yourself returning again and again and again. Shop LK. It's the shopping centre of Donegal. Shop LK, Letterkenny.
It's here again, and it's bigger than ever. It's the August used car sale now on at any Shaun Motors, with a huge selection of all the popular brands to choose from. All our cars are history checked, serviced and come with a comprehensive warranty. On-the-spot finance available and trade-ins accepted. That's our biggest used car sale ever. Now on at any Shaun Motors, Letterkenny and Malin. Telephone 07491 34567.
The line's broken again. Are you fed up with shoddy fishing lines? Have the fish escaped more times than you care to remember? You obviously didn't buy from the Bridge Guns and Tackle in Strabane. They can provide you with state-of-the-art equipment and will make sure you make the right choice for your needs and have the best prices to boot. Follow them on Facebook for all their offers. The Bridge Guns and Tackle, Butcher Street, Strabane, with a full range of live and frozen bait now available. Fridays at Kelly's American Diner in Letterkenny is the tastiest value in town, with any of Jake's famous burgers together with any side and drink for an amazing $9.95. Try the New Yorker with crispy bacon and melted cheese, the Hardy D with barbecue sauce and battered onion rings. In fact, any burger with any side order and any drink for just $9.95. Every Friday from 3 at Kelly's American Diner, Mountain Top, Letterkenny.
Mulroy Woods Hotel, Milford. Massive sterling bingo this Tuesday night, 9th of August. 2,500 sterling must go. All lines, £50. Houses, £500, £300 and £150 sterling. Books, €10, doubles €15 at Mulroy Woods Hotel, Milford this Tuesday night from 9 p.m.
Text Shaun now on 086 7700 555.
Talking to Mike Ferry here, interesting guy and author of Teaching Happiness and Innovation. He's on holidays in Donegal from America, as you will have detected from his voice, and we were holding a thought just before we went. Now, you talk about teaching gratitude to children. Children naturally should be happy. Naturally, it's in them. But anyway, you can teach gratitude and the importance of teaching gratitude for a wider society, for themselves first of all, and then wider society. But anyway, you were holding a thought in the break there.
Yes. We were thinking about failure, and I think the comment was related to, many people may agree with my perspective, but certainly not everyone will. And right before coming into the studio here, I was reading a piece in today's Irish Times in the business section on the importance of failure. And I believe Forbes magazine has written that 90% of startups will fail. 90. But of course, the ones that succeed, the 10% that succeed, are the ones that get all the press and the notoriety. But we lose fact of the fact that there's so much failure all around us, and that could be personal failure, and that could be people saying they don't like your ideas, because to put yourself out there, you make yourself vulnerable, and it can be very painful to have a personal attack of that nature. But if you're willing to embrace failure, if you're willing to persevere, then ultimately you'll be much happier, and you'll also experience more success.
Yeah. Now, in America, you're allowed to fail. You're allowed to fail in business. People are not surprised when somebody has gone bankrupt a couple of times, and they'll just say, "Get up, have a go." But here, it is seen as failure. There seems to be a different attitude. Now, we don't seem to like everything that's American. As you've probably noticed in Ireland, there can be this thing about, like, this American guy on here today telling us how we should be living. There's that attitude. But do you know where I'm coming from in terms of America? You do have a different attitude towards people who fall off the horse, get back on it again.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I am an American, but I'm very proud of my Donegal roots. And I do think that a lot of what I'm saying actually emerges from the spirit of Donegal, from the Highland, the Highland character, because people who live up here are survivors, right? I mean, the history of it is that the British came in and they took the best land and squeezed everybody out to the periphery. If you're living here and your family has been here for generations, then you're a survivor, and whether you realize it or not, you embrace the notion of struggle. You may not think of it the same way, but it's just part of your character. And if more of us, across the nation of Ireland, across the world, could be more accepting of failure, then we'll see countless new business ventures undertaken, and the personal growth that people experience will be unparalleled. But failure is not an easy thing to face. And back to your original point, about is failure more of an American ideal? And I think that there's definitely some truth to that because of our immigrant past. Obviously my 4 grandparents were immigrants. They all came to New York. They came with their shirts on their backs, and that was about it. But they built lives for themselves. It wasn't easy.
No.
They faced an immense amount of discrimination, similar to the discrimination that we see in American politics and politics around the world today.
And of course, that takes us right back to the thing about children. And your main objective, I think, in the book is teaching happiness and innovation to children. And I mean, of course, to us, but to children, because you reckon that they're losing it. If they don't fail, if they're not allowed to fail, children, if they're not allowed to, I mean, people say you should, help them along and give them everything. We were talking about it earlier. We're not helping them because in the real world, you do fail, and you do fall, and you do get rejected, and you do get told you're this, you're that, you're the other. So you can't closet them, can you, that way?
No, you can't. And it's our initial reaction to try to protect and to coddle and to hug and to try to make that childhood experience as pain-free as we can. And I'm not suggesting for a moment that we should make things miserable for our children. I'm not saying that at all. But we have to, when they leave the nest, they need to have a concept of resilience about them. And actually, one of the easiest ways to teach that is through sports. It's interesting because we realize in sports that if you're going to make the All-Ireland Championship, you get there through your hard work, through your discipline. And this is one of the most amazing things to me about the GAA, actually, is that it's all amateur. And of course, in the U.S., major sports are all professional. But here you have people going to the gym at 7 a.m. in the morning, then working a full day, then training in the evening. It's practically a 24-hour position. But when they reach Croke Park, when they hoist the trophy, no one is saying that they got there just based on their talent alone. No one is saying that they got there through luck or through something else that's beyond your control. It's through hard work. It's through determination.
Okay, well, the clock has beaten us, and I'm sorry to everybody who sent in questions that we didn't get to, because there were many. But if you want to hear more, read more about Mike's views, it's a book that is available is it on Amazon?
Well, yes. If you want the ebook, then you can get it pretty much anywhere. Kobo, Amazon Kindle, at the iBook store, Barnes & Noble Nook, and my paperback is on my website, which is happinessandinnovation.com.
Happinessandinnovation.com. If you go there, and it's great to meet you, Mike, and thanks for coming in. Enjoy your stay.
Oh, thank you. I've had a wonderful time.
Thank you very much. That's Mike Ferry, teaching happiness and innovation. And again, thanks for everybody's questions, even though I didn't get to ask them all. They were all good. That's pretty much it from me to you. Until tomorrow at 10, thank you very much for your company and all of your comments, and we'll see you then. Thanks to our producer today, Caroline Flanders.